It's not about the experience I get, it's the experience everyone else is getting. From doing so many videos, you start learning, oh, okay, like these ingredients probably aren't great. They're just spicing this up a little bit right here to make it better for me. One of my biggest things is if I'm not the originator, if it's not my style, I'm moving into something else, right?
I always say like, I choose the people that I follow based on whether or not I really enjoy what they make. I don't follow people that I don't enjoy. How do you make content that can resonate with a broader audience?
It comes down to this.
I'm your host, Justin Berry, and today I got a very special guest that I'm so excited to have on. This guy uses his digital creation to paint a vivid picture of our city's rhythm, covering everything from food reviews to real estate to show reviews. This dude is all over Las Vegas, exposing the ins and outs, the who's, the hows, and where's and what's. He's not just a content creator, he's a storyteller. And with over 100 million views, 500,000 plus followers, he's definitely an authority in his space. Joining us today, I have Daniel Leal, or as others may call him, the CEO of Las Vegas. How you doing, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Pleasure to have you, man. I'm so glad you came. I'm doing great, man. I'm excited for this one. I've been seeing your content a lot, right? Like you're definitely hitting anybody's timeline that lives here. Mm-hmm. And you're really putting us kind of in tune with what we're missing out and around the city. So, just to start, tell us how you got started in your journey of content creation in this specific niche, which I guess you can call like city reviews or content reviews.
Sure, yeah. I think it all evolved to what it is now, but it started out with food. It started out in the pandemic, 2020. I got laid off from my job. I was working at the Luxor on the Strip as a food runner. I kind of came out here with big goals and big aspirations, but never knew what I was going to do. I saw my fiance's friend just do this stupid video that went viral. They got like 10 million views, right? Wow. And it was some of the dumbest shit. And I was like, wow, this is like attainable. It's possible. Like there's an opportunity here. Yeah. And I was always trying to do something in social, but didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like, you know what? I was like, there's a barbecue taco truck. It was a barbecue truck. And I was like, there's not a lot of barbecue out here right now. So I was like, let me go and just check this out and see what it does. So I just walked up. I had no idea what I was doing. I just review the food at home, and it got like 20,000 views. Wow. And I'm like, all right, my first video, 20,000 views. And then a couple days later, I went to the Strip, and I went to go just like check out streetwear shops at the Wynn, right? And I was like, oh, there's like streetwear shops at the Wynn. I never really knew like what they had there. I didn't really explore the Wynn like that. I had moved out here like recently before that. Yeah. And so I did that video, and it was like 3 spots to check out at the Wynn, and it got like 250,000 views. And it was my second or third video. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, there's something here. Yeah. So then I actually took about a week off, and then I, for whatever reason, and then I went back into it, and I just started posting every day from there, and it took off.
So essentially your audience told you what to make at that point, right? Like you get those type of views and you start to see what works. Like I tell anybody in our communities, just double down on it at that point, right? Right. Go after it. Tell me though, like, it's funny, like we, working side by side with Ryan and doing a lot of travel and all these different things that we're doing, I get to like eat at a bunch of different places. Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, should I take a video of this? But I find that even in your content, there are specific ways that you go about even filming it. Mm-hmm. Did those strategies develop through time, or is that something that you just had an eye for at the start of your journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think the voiceovers were always a thing. But as you see other people doing content, I just started to kind of study what was going on. And I started to pick different things. I never wanted to copy anyone else. But if I saw something that inspired me, I was like, okay, maybe I could shoot this way and tell my story this way. But never trying to do too much of what someone else is doing. One of my biggest things is if I'm not the originator, if it's not my style, I'm moving into something else, right? Okay. So I like to grab different things, but make it my own.
So it's not like a game of like, I got to get there and be the first one to put out the content, is it? Or is it more?
Other people do that. I don't play that game because I think that your story is always going to shine at the end of the day, especially now in the age of 2024 social media. I think that's like a 2021 tactic where it was like, get there first, get there before anyone else does. Yeah. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, because I know I find it even with your content, like there's so many now like review junkies out there that are doing this type of content, but there's a difference when I feel like I'm actually getting value out of the video.
Right.
So do you tend to pay more attention to the quality and the value that you put into the video, even your voiceovers? Or is it more about like, I got to get it out quick and got to get it, because you're kind of hitting trends at certain points, right? With what's going on in the city. Tell me more about that though. Is it a thing where you're more focused on the value or you're focused on the timing of the release?
It's a balance of both. That's why I always tell people come to me and they're like, man, you're on it right away. But they don't know it takes me an hour, 2 hours to make a video.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I don't go about it super quickly. But I do try to do that balance between like time and also being efficient and making it a premiere rather than just going out and just saying whatever on the camera and just yelling into the phone. I do put a little thought into what I'm doing. So,
and that was going to be my next question. How do you prepare for, what you're planning on filming? How much preparation goes into it, I guess, would be an even better question.
That's the thing. It's really on the fly. I think when you make a video every day for so long, you get the certain editing style and it's really off the cuff. I really kind of just know what I'm going to do as soon as I start making the video. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I do a script. I do a pretty light script, not over scripting because then it just turns into me reading the script. Right. So,
okay.
But when you're dealing with facts, figures, logic and all that, you need to script something to an extent. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like I remember when I first followed you, because what happens, and I can, just a background on how I even found, your page and found out about you. Like I moved to Vegas in 2018. Right. And so when you're coming to a new city, don't know anybody, I usually go to social to try to find out what's to do, what's out there, what to eat.
Yep.
Right. Especially coming from a city like Chicago where all the food is good. Mm-hmm. You're trying to find where the good places are in Vegas. I was doing that. And so I followed a bunch of different reviews. But I don't follow most of them anymore. You're one of the ones that kind of lasted through time because of the quality that you were putting out. I knew that, seeing one of your videos was not only just going to give me information about wherever the restaurant was or wherever the place, but then you start coming up with like development things and all these different pieces. And so I was like, this is a little bit different than just your basic, simple review, that you find on certain people's platforms. So one of those things the reason why I want to ask you about preparation, because it feels like you do plan out how you film it, how you phrase things and how you word things to prepare people to get the most value out of it. So I find that interesting that I usually go off the cuff with it. But I guess too, how many videos would you say you've done since you started?
Man, probably well over 1,000. Yeah. Like 1,500 around that area.
So getting the reps in is really really helpful to your process and being able to just kind of go in and do it and get it done, huh?
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's the reps. And then, after a time, it becomes a flow, right? Mm. So it's like we were saying, it's like there's planning, but there isn't too much planning at the same time because then you lose the authenticity and you could lose the viewer if it's too scripted. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I found myself feeling that way even when I started with Ryan. Because Ryan Pineda is super polished on certain videos, right? Mm-hmm. It's cleaned up, it's good. And then through time, I noticed that he can one take a 12-minute video easily. Yeah. Right. Whereas, in the past, it was 45 minutes video and then we got to cut it to 12 minutes, right? Right. So I noticed those those reps and really getting that in really improved the creator from a standpoint of communicating clearly right away, right? And so I really noticed that about it.
No, it's true. Yeah. I mean, I still do. Man, probably 50 takes on a voiceover.
Really?
So it takes a while. I mean, I do obviously cut it in between. It's not just one way. It's not one all the way through. But I do redo parts. I move things around. I'm like, okay, I don't like what I said there. Let me, bring this back to here. So
let's talk about that a little bit. Editing, is that all you? You do every video?
I do every video.
Wow. So you're taking the time not only to film it, but to also edit it. Then, or to voiceover first, or do you edit it first and then do the voiceover?
I think it depends on the video, but it kind of changes with time. Mm-hmm. I used to do the video and then do the voiceover, but now I'm starting to do the voiceover and then the video to match it.
So one of your recent videos, I think, was a 36-inch pizza or something like that? Yeah. All right, shout out to them, whoever. What's the restaurant called?
Napoli's. Okay. OG pizza spot right there. That's like OG Vegas local shit right there.
Okay, yeah. So go check that out. This is not a paid thing, but just, I want to give credit to where it is due. But I saw that video, and even down to the science of how you film it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about how you go about that process. Do you get permissions from beforehand, or do you just go in, you say who you are? Like, how does that work with going into a restaurant, getting kind of like behind the scenes of the makeup? Not everybody can go back and see them flipping dough, right?
No, exactly. No, I get the permissions beforehand. I used to just go off the cuff and just go into the restaurant. Sometimes if there's something really special and I see it and the vibe's right, then I'll go in and just talk to the owner and it's all good. But a lot of the times now you have to message them beforehand because the person who's at the counter doesn't always know, right? Or know what you do. But yeah, you get the permissions. You go to the back, film in the back, and I keep a little pocket light with me in the back so I get the right lighting. But I play with it over time. Sometimes I'm flipping the phone upside down and I'm doing the light. Yeah. Sometimes it's just getting up real close. Sometimes it's a wide angle. It just really depends on what's going on. Like for that pizza, I shot everything in a wide angle, just a 0.5 lens, and trying to just stay sturdy, capture everything, and
Hey, let's take a break really quick. I just wanted to let you know that we just launched something new that I'm extremely excited for. It is our new text hotline. It is now easier than ever to get in touch with Ryan Pineda himself or anyone from his team. Whether you need help with real estate or content creation or just general entrepreneurship, you text this number and someone from our team will get in touch with you to provide what it is that you need. If you've ever watched our content and thought to yourself, I want to work with them at any capacity, here's easy access and a very efficient way to get in touch with someone from our team. We have everything from courses to Q&As to live events, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to have access to them. So just text the number 725-444-5244 and get in touch with us. Now let's get back to it. Yeah. And it's all on the phone.
It's all on the phone.
Is it edited on the phone as well?
It's edited on the phone, CapCut.
Yeah. So that immediately debunks anybody that's out there that's like, I gotta save money to get this equipment and I can't start till I do all these things. Like he's doing everything that he's doing on the phone with millions of people viewing per month, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that held me back too. I wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time doing I saw like some of the OG like Vegas YouTubers like Jacob's Life in Vegas. Yeah. And other guys like that. And I was like, I could do that, but I don't have a camera. I don't got this. And I was like, I would never get those types of views. But then when TikTok came along and you got the cell phone now, it's like, it's a different era now. Yeah.
Any experience in videography or photography beforehand, before you started that?
No, my only social media experience was in fashion. Right. So I had kind of a fashion background. So aesthetics was always kind of a thing for me, but I took some of what I learned back then and just applied it to now.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, as someone in the media space with videography background, photography background, I can tell when someone kind of knows what they're doing with that camera when it comes to angles, when it comes to composition and things like that. So again, the reason why I continued to follow after I felt like I had been here some time and I had known when everything was at was because I can see the quality in what you're doing. So hats off to that, to that. What's your criteria for deciding where you want to review, where you want to go? How do you determine that?
I keep it personal. I mean, I do get reached out to a lot by places. So if it's something really special that I think could do well on social and that I think people would like, then, I'm willing to show it. Because when it comes down to taste and all that, it's different for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be known as that's why I kind of stepped away from the food reviewer thing too, because it's like everyone's got a different taste, everyone's got a different palate. Yeah. But it's about you brought it up too, is like the storytelling. Like, is this a place where I could tell a story on it? Is this a place that has some substance to it that I think people could really vibe and relate to?
Yeah, because I think about that when I see other reviews, even on because obviously you got Yelp as the main review source for when people are trying to find a place in there. Yeah. I'm looking at that and I'm reading some of those things and I'm like, I don't know, that experience. I didn't have that experience when I went there. Mm-hmm. So it's what do I trust in that manner? Even when I'm watching food reviews or different types of reviews, I go, is this person paid? Mm-hmm. Does that, how do you, for you in particular, how do you remain objective when it comes to an opportunity that might be a paid opportunity or an offer for you?
I think it's just about keeping it organic and still continuing to be yourself and understand. Because I do a good amount of paid things too. Mm-hmm. But if I'm gonna get paid, it's gotta be something that I'm really gonna like and something I could really stand behind. Yeah. I think that's the wave. I don't think that people should be knocked for getting paid for something if it's something that you really fuck with.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess have you had an instance where you've had to where you didn't feel as positive about the experience, but it was a paid experience?
Oh no, I've actually like said no to money like a good amount of times. Of like, hey, I pulled up, they wanted to pay me to do this review or however, I'm just like, nah. I was like, I don't like the food, or I don't like, however, I was like, I'm not gonna trash you, but I'm gonna have to say no to this money.
Is that like a hard circumstance to be in with that individual? Because I'm sure you're probably talking to some owners, right? Like those are the individuals.
Oh yeah.
That yeah.
It's a difficult conversation to have. I've had like owners that have like teared up in front of me and all that too. So that's a difficult thing to go through.
Yeah.
Feels almost like you're firing someone in a weird way. Right. It's like, it's the strangest thing. But you just you gotta have those hard conversations, and you gotta be authentic and true to yourself. So.
Yeah. And I think about that as we mentioned that, I think about like what Keith Lee experienced recently or not too long ago when he was doing his tour around the country of like the backlash you get when you actually don't give someone a positive review. Mm-hmm. But to me, I'm like, well, it was the experience he got. Like he's only speaking from. So I was wondering, like, are these creators actually, or are the individuals and entrepreneurs that own these places? Have you helped them in a way when you give them those real reviews and how you really feel about it? Like, have you seen any changes where you're like, I'm not going to do this review, this is why? And then gone back to see, okay, I see they changed some things and they did some things better. Has that happened? Have you had that experience?
No, I haven't.
No?
I actually I haven't gone back to a place that I had to say no to.
Okay.
So it just hasn't happened. Hopefully they change. I've seen other people do reviews of places that I've said no to. Yeah. So.
What about have you done like multiple reviews in one place where like you've doubled up on how many times you've been there to do a type of review?
Yeah, sometimes I've done like Golden Steer, for example. I would I've been there multiple times and I'll do different clips when I go to Golden Steer. Okay. So.
And I asked that because I'm wondering if, for instance, there's going to be a point where like you're going to get so known as the Vegas guy that's doing it that they're going to know when you come in. And I'm wondering if it's like, the teacher comes in and we straighten up when they come in, or the boss comes around and we all act like we're working. Mm-hmm. Like I'm wondering if you're getting any of that experience just yet and how that has impact on how you make content.
No, what I would say is I actually learned this from David Grutman. Okay. From watching some of his podcasts. Shout out to David Grutman.
Shout out to him.
I remember watching him on the podcast, and because it's the same thing. He owns all these restaurants in Miami and everywhere else. And when you go in, you know who David Grutman is when he's there, right? Right. And one thing he says he always does, it's not about the experience I get, it's the experience everyone else is getting. Mm-hmm. So that's something I watch for too, because I think I learned from repetition after a while, like what type of from doing so many videos, you start learning, okay, like these ingredients probably aren't great. They're just spicing this up a little bit right here to make it better for me. And you could tell when a place is genuine and authentic and doing it the right way, right? Mm-hmm. Or they're just throwing in a little extra. So, but I also do watch the experience of everyone else around me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Las Vegas is a growing city too, and I often think about that for individuals like yourself that are in that space of creating for a niche in a city. And I think about it like, it's forever changing. It's always changing. I saw Vegas Issues post something where like our state flower is a cone, right? Yeah. It's always under construction. There's always something happening.
I think he started that, right?
I think so.
I think he's the one who started that. Now it's like a cultural thing. Like,
yeah, it's such crazy. A thing. But it's so funny because it's real. Like anybody that lives here can understand exactly why someone would say that. But that leads me just to think, like, how do you stay up on the new happenings of everything that's going on? How do you know when there's new restaurants opening or there's, like, what's your method for kind of staying current to what's going on the landscape of Las Vegas?
Never turn it off. Yeah. I think it comes down to that. You always, I'm in on mode all the time. So a news brief that comes out, I'm on it. Like I'm in the streets. I'm fucking, downtown. I'm in places where you don't think I would be usually. Yeah. But I'm around and I'm looking. So.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because like I know, like it's been so much. Like I live in Summerlin. I'm on North Summerlin, and I'm hearing about Summerlin 2.0, and I'm hearing all these different things that are coming in that area. And I'm like, do I stay over here? Do I go? I'm like, should I go further north and get away from all of this? Like, should I come south and get away from all this? And I'm like, I'm just curious, like, because you tend like a lot of information I'm finding out comes from your page, comes from other pages like yours. But it's interesting. Tell me how, like, do you view this information that you get? Does it kind of change the way you see Vegas as well? Or are you like, this is my city, like I'm all in it? Because when I hear CEO of Las Vegas, I mean, that's all you now. Like, this is my city. I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to be working in this space and doing these things.
Yeah, I think, what was the question again?
Just about how do you feel when you find out all these new things that are happening? Does it make you want to stay in Vegas and do more reviews and continue to like kind of be a major, asset to the city? Or is it like, all right, this is getting too crazy, I got to get out of here and find somewhere else to go?
No, I mean, I take my breaks from Vegas for sure, but I love the city so much it's hard to leave because I love the growth. I love the opportunity. Like I said, we talked a little bit off camera about being like from Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. And from that big city mentality, right? Just watching, Vegas kind of grow out of the eggshell and kind of starting to become this, the next wave, right? Yeah. So it's exciting.
Let's go back a little bit though. Tell me how you even got to Vegas in the first place, right? Like, I know we talked a little bit about off camera, but let's get into it and tell me how you ended up here in Nevada.
So originally, I moved. The reason I moved to Vegas was I ran a cannabis. It was covering cannabis, a cannabis blog and Instagram page, and me and a buddy of mine. He was the co-founder. The blog was called Insesh. Okay. And we were going to move to Vegas. We were covering Vegas culture already from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And so writing blog posts, this is like 2017, 2016. And covering what was going on in Vegas. We kind of had a feeling that Vegas was going to pop. We knew that legalization for cannabis recreationally was going to come. And it was a matter of time for lounges kicked up. Okay. So the original plan was start up this blog, build a brand, and then move to Vegas, open up a cannabis lounge and go from there. Our idea was to kind of become like the complex of cannabis for Vegas in that way, right? Gotcha. We were just like be on that wave. And it was me, him, and his girlfriend. We moved to Vegas in late 2017, December 2017. Okay. And moved to Green Valley, got an apartment. We both really had no money. I had like 500 in my bank account at the time. Horrible credit. We wouldn't have moved if it wasn't for his girl because she fronted the whole the whole deposit and everything. She kept it for us. And so we moved to Vegas, and then 8 months later, I get a call while I'm at work from his girl, and she goes, yeah. She's like, Mario passed away. He hung himself last night in the bathroom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's okay. And I got the news. I was in shock. I'm like, damn. I was like, I didn't react at first. I'm just like, this can't be real.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And then so I went back, obviously to the crib. Then I left work, and obviously heard the news. Sitting there taking questions, and then the whole family flew in. 2 days later, his girl did the same thing.
No way.
So it was like two suicides back to back within like a 3-day span. And from that moment on, I moved in, I said, with my ex at the time, and I was kind of bouncing around, and ended up landing on the place I did now, and then met my fiance. Still in Vegas. Okay. Yeah, I almost moved out. I was very close to moving out. Yeah. But I stayed. I was like, no, I gotta stay grounded with the mission. Came out here for a reason. This wouldn't have happened for no reason. Right. So I gotta stay here and keep it pushing. So, and then, like I said, met my fiance, and then started up TikTok shortly after that. Wow. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, all the power to you for having the strength to get through that. Especially in a new location, right? Like, I know that's even more difficult because you're not surrounded by this crazy support system that can cover you in that moment. So I got a lot of respect for you maintaining that and going through that experience. Yeah, that's tough, man. Like I always say too, like coming from Chicago to a place like Vegas where really nothing's alike, like nothing's like the same between the two. You tend to have stories that become then your foundation of what you're building and what you're growing. Yeah. Right. And I found that for myself. I'm hearing the same thing in you and knowing like where you're at now versus then. And I really want to give you, flowers on that because it takes a lot of strength to get through that. But it's a lot of power in it too. Before we get back into this episode, I have a message for any entrepreneur feeling lost in their business. Even after hours of education, YouTube videos, and PDF guides, you're still finding yourself wanting actionable advice and community that understands what you're going through. And right now, you may be considering joining a coaching program or a mentorship, but the price tag on those in-depth programs really have you hesitant. What if I told you there's a bundle that's specifically designed for you and where you're at in your journey? This bundle gives you everything that you're craving, whether it's education, community, or one-on-one help, but it won't break the bank. Imagine having access to the proven Wealth Builder course or tickets to our events like WealthCon, where 1,000 entrepreneurs meet to network and build together. And even better, you get Q&A from our visionary, Ryan Pineda, every week, where you get to ask your questions directly. This is an avenue for you to get in proximity with Ryan Pineda and the rest of his team, including myself. And while you'll get much more with that bundle, it's only $97. So if you're interested, visit wealthyuniversity.com and let's grow together. All right, so do you find that where your current situation, where that kind of like groomed you for what you're doing here, the way you were covering cannabis and planning for having the complex of Las Vegas for cannabis business?
Yeah, I think it all planned up to get to that moment. Yeah. But I think I just followed my intuition. I just kind of knew, there's something internally inside you where you're just like, man, I was like, you know where you're supposed to be, right? Something always tells you like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be. I was like, I knew if I went back home, I was like, what am I going back home to, right?
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
I was like, you gotta, you gotta stay down pat and you gotta stick to the mission. It all becomes a part of the story at the end of the day. So
no, that's awesome. So what is the time period between the cannabis to where you started, actually making content with food, essentially?
Yeah. So I quit the blog shortly after the whole thing that happened. That was in 2018. And that's probably about a year gap right there where I was trying to figure things out. I was trying to do I was just YouTubing things and trying to figure out what I could do to get something going for myself. Yeah. And just, trying to figure it out. But yeah, about a year gap.
Okay.
So
okay. Is that year, are you still creating other content, or what's happening between that time? Or are you just kind of doing a lot of research at that point?
Doing a lot of research, trying a lot of different things. I tried the wholesale real estate at some point. For me, it didn't work out, but I just didn't stick to it probably. It just wasn't the goal, it wasn't the plan for me.
Probably didn't know about Wealthy Investor, right? Like,
probably not. Investor. Probably would have helped back then. Right. But no, it's all about the path at the end of the day. Yeah. You find your lane.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, that's a story, dude. Like, that's a really an interesting story to go through, because I think, again, your passion is displayed through the content, right? And I think that, what you find creatively to make content on stems from all your experiences. Yeah. Right? Like, now that I know that you're from the Chicago area, bro, I'm like, all right, I trust everything this guy says about food at this point, right? Like, I know, good food. Oh, yeah. Because that was one of the things that, dude, when we first moved here, we moved in 2018, so about a year after, a little bit less than a year after you came. One of the things I was like, I miss the food. Like, I can't find the places. And then, so now I know I can definitely trust everything you're saying about that. Entertainment in Las Vegas. Yeah. You've done reviews. I saw you post about Kanye's listening party around the Super Bowl time. Yeah. Tell me about how you go about those experiences, because that's a little bit different than rating food. Yeah. All right. So tell me about how your approach to that and how you critique those type of events.
I guess I didn't really critique the whole Kanye event. It was kind of more intel I got. Right. And it kind of just happened. Things sometimes just, when you're persistent, things just sometimes magically happen. Yeah. It's not luck, it's persistence, and things start to, work out how they're supposed to work out. I didn't know up a day until the event. I got some intel a month or two before that they were shopping places around and looking for places to perform. But I had no idea that it was that venue until that night, until someone told me and gave me the intel. Wow. So,
and is it random people that get you that information, or is it usually you all have a community of people that do this type of content?
No, it's loose sources. It's not like a community of people that are I don't have any team working around me. It's kind of just people, I get the intel from someone. Sometimes it's a random person, but if I see a couple things correlate and I'm getting that multiple times and multiple people are telling me, there's probably some smoke to the fire.
Yeah, you start to believe it. I got you. I got you. So what were your thoughts about that listening party? I'm interested to hear.
It was dope. I mean, there was a lot of celebrities all around. I didn't really get to capture it as much because it's so dark in there. But I was like walking right past CJ Stroud. We were in the same. We were in the same section as Chris Brown. Like it was. There was a lot of. It was cool. I mean, it was a once in a lifetime type of experience. I recommend everyone go see Ye at least once if you get a chance.
Yeah, because I think you posted. I think your post it said something like, "I thought no one cares about Ye anymore" or something like that.
Yeah,
and I was like, I wonder why he posted like why that was the framework. But I also thought about it. I was like, it was probably Ye saying that too, right? Like it was. That's kind of the temperament of where he's at in his career right now, huh?
Yeah, maybe I tapped into that a little bit. But you see the comments, right? Yeah. So I saw the comments. I saw people respond and then just being like, man, who cares about Ye? I was like, I don't know. I was like, this place looks pretty packed right now. So enough Somebody people care. Cares. Somebody cares, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny, like, seeing the entertainment scene here in Vegas now and what it's kind of growing to, I'm seeing a culture be built. Mm-hmm. Where, from 2020 on up, I noticed that like there's a lot of YouTubers, a lot of content creators here in the city. And I'm watching like the collaborations start to happen amongst a lot of people and different things shake. Even with businesses, like a lot of collaborations on businesses and things like that. Mm-hmm. Hollywood 2.0. I see you post about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Tell, for those that don't understand what that is, give a little bit of explanation of what that means and what that's representing, but also tell people what you know about it and how, us as, Las Vegas residents should be preparing.
It's a new era for Vegas. I think you got to lock your opportunities in. You got to really get after it. I think that's the biggest advice I could give someone. But yeah, the Hollywood 2.0 wave, I think we are at a point in Vegas culture where something was going to pop. We just didn't know what it was culturally. But I think this whole migration of LA to Vegas has triggered this. Mm-hmm. But it's when it comes down to it, just makes sense for the studios. They could do a lot of filming here. They get the tax breaks. It's easier commute times. Mm-hmm. And like I say, I think you got Sony coming, you got Disney coming, like already committed. So it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we're just on a new wave. It's just easier to get business done in Vegas. It's easier to transact in Vegas. And it just makes sense.
Yeah. And I always say it's never hard to get people to come.
No, it's not.
So like even having a podcast, I'm like, at some point, whoever I want to have on is coming. Like at some point.
Man. Yeah. I mean, even me, I get DMs out of the woodwork from people that are like, that are trying to visit me now that I live in Vegas,
Yeah, of course.
And it wouldn't happen if I was in a different city, right?
Right. What advice would you have for like a digital creator that as Hollywood 2.0 is coming and these opportunities are coming, any advice that you would give to someone that is a digital creator on social media or YouTube of that sort?
I mean, I think tapping into your opportunities and understanding that there is no limit to what you could do. The thing is, if you're in the ground roots now of Vegas and you're building something culturally for the city, it's only going to expand from there because it's still so low right now. Mm-hmm. It's the buy low, sell high mentality. Mm-hmm. Things are still so low in Vegas. There's so much room to grow. So it just all correlates.
No, that's awesome. Just shifting to, again, like, that focus on what it is that you do as a creator. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we often teach in our program, Wealthy Creator, is that being niche is great, right? Like having a certain niche and locking in on even a certain platform, lock in on a platform and get really good at that platform and grow. But how do you make content that not only just resonates with people that are here in Vegas, but the masses? Because I'm sure not all of your views are all from Las Vegas, eyeballs, right? Like some of these people are from out of state and all over the country, I'm sure. So how do you make content that can resonate with a broader audience, even though your topic, your niche is really niche down?
I think it comes down to the storytelling and being culturally, I guess, in tune and aware, kind of understanding what, people are people at the end of the day. We're all human. Mm-hmm. So I guess creating from that framework and just living life from that framework of like, representing the culture and, maybe not always giving people what they want to hear, but giving people what they need to hear.
Before we jump back into the video, I would really appreciate it if you took the time to thumbs up this video. Liking the post will help the platform share our video as well as grow our community. Also, if you haven't already, tap subscribe and turn on those post notifications. Get alerts when everything drops. It's best to know what we have going on. And if you're interested in becoming a Wealthy Creator full-time, visit wealthycreator.com. where we can help you with your needs and wherever you're at in your journey of content creation. Now, let's jump back into the episode. Okay.
So
explain more about that. I like that.
I mean, like, I think, for example, like developments, right? Like people don't want to hear always the prices are going up, but there's also opportunity on the other side of that, right? That means something's happening.
Yeah.
If people are looking to move somewhere and there's more money going into your city, that must mean that you're going to get more opportunities if you're open to it and aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the development thing is something that got me interested, like really interested. It was food at first, and then I kind of went away. I didn't really need the food anymore. And then it was developments because I'm in the market to buy a home, and I'm living in Summerlin, and you know how those prices are. It's like it's insane. So I'm like, okay, Summerlin 2.0 is coming, and I went the other day and I looked, and there's some like they're building 3-story homes.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the 3-story for someone that's from Chicago is that it reminds me of that old city style, metropolitan style of home. It's not like your typical Las Vegas house where your rooftop is kind of your backyard at that essentially.
Yeah, we're renting a 3-story home right now too, so it's interesting. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's that metropolitan vibe. Yeah. The house almost feels like it's like, I tell my fiance, I was like, I feel like we're living in like Seattle or something. It doesn't even feel like,
it gives it that feel.
You're living in Vegas.
It gives it that feel. And so like for me, my mind is going, would this be a good investment? Right, for the city of Las Vegas. And then I was like, well, these specifically are going to be right across from where, Summerlin 2.0 is going.
Yep.
So I'm like, obviously that would probably be a really good investment. But would it be good elsewhere and around the city? And I was like, I don't know. Right. And so it's like those things are triggered when I'm seeing those videos of you talk about those developments. So I find that really interesting. Can you share any memorable experience from when you're doing one of your reviews? Has there been experience that have over exceeded like your expectation going into it or underperformed, as you've gone to it? Even though it was a good experience, maybe it just kind of underperformed what you expected.
Underperformed as in
like, I'm going to review this and I'm hearing all these great things about it, but I didn't necessarily feel like it was good, but not necessarily as, the masses have told me, or maybe something over exceeded your experience and you was like, wow, this was way better than I even thought it could be.
Man, I'm trying to think. I think impact-wise, I don't know really about taste because I don't really look at I guess from a palate perspective, it's so unique, right? I can pull good things and bad things out of anywhere, right?
Okay.
So, but I think a story is interesting with this point. This taco truck that I reviewed, like impact-wise. Okay. So I reviewed this taco truck. It was on the east side of Vegas. This was like my 10th video, and it only got like 100,000 views.
Oh wow!
And it, still a good amount, but at that time I'm like, it wasn't my best video, but it wasn't like the worst either. And we pulled up to the taco truck the next day just to see what was going on. And shit you not, there was a line of like 20 cars. Wow. It was like a Keith Lee effect thing. There's like a line of 20 cars. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of people at this truck today. So I went to go pull up and I walked out and I'm hearing like in the cars, people are playing my video in the car looking at what they're going to order. I'm hearing my voice in like a line of 3 or 4 cars.
Wow.
Like, wow. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and that's what's interesting. Like, because I think at the start of it, you were pretty much like your content was faceless. Like no one really knew your face from the content that you were creating because it was all voiceover. And then I started to see you kind of put your face out there a little more like, okay, now he's going to be recognizable more. And I find that so interesting because, again, you're pulling up to places and they're literally watching your review to know whether or not they actually want to stay in the line. Because I know some people get in that line just because they see a line. Yeah. Like, it must be good. All these people are here. Yes. And then there's other people like, no, I want to know a little more. I want to find out. I have a wife that is all about reviews, right? Like, she sees your videos on TikTok all the time because before we go to eat anywhere, she's going to watch some reviews or read some reviews. And so I'm like, there's a lot of, like, without you necessarily intentionally having it, you got a lot of power with what happens with some businesses and like a taco truck and places like that. That's a lot of responsibility. Do you feel like there's a lot of responsibility in that? I guess you would say, I think so. It has to be good, right? Or at least I have to think it's good. Yeah. Like I said, it's the balance of like, hey, everyone's palate's different, but I could tell if they're not on their shift, they're not keeping up and all that. But if they're, it's like a small mom and pop and they're really about it, like, it's a good, it's good for them, you know? And I think that kind of just comes with the role. Yeah. So do you ever feel like seeing something like that where like they kind of owe me? Like I should get some type of compensation for that, or is it just like this is what I'm doing, this is my value to the platform? No, I mean I think like obviously I could say credit is deserved. I think, but I think it's like they're putting out something valuable, and I'm giving them something valuable too, and I just think that
things compact tenfold. You just do good things and you get blessings.
Nah,
So
that's good. Yeah, that's so good. I wonder about that because I guess my next question would just be about monetization. Like, this is your full-time thing, right?
Yeah.
This is what you do. So how do you go about maintaining, a certain income, when you're doing these types of videos? Is it all through brand deals? Is it all through, partnerships, or how does that work?
yeah, I mean, I do a good amount of brand deals. I mean, yeah, obviously income can vary, but I think there has been, especially in the last year, a lot more sustainability that's come with the brand deals.
Mm-hmm.
We also do some social media management on the side too. That's kind of sustained. So we have a couple different streams going.
Okay.
I'm going to build out an affiliate program, and I've built obviously the group. I'm going to turn Las Vegas Mastermind. I'm going to turn that into something.
Awesome.
I'm working on a couple food and beverage concepts. So there's things going on, but for now, the brand deals are enough. And like I said, it has to still be something that resonates.
Yeah.
So, but I've worked with Amazon and Verizon and some of these other ones. So it's it sustains for sure. So
all right, can we have a little fun?
Yeah, we can have
Do
fun.
Something. I want the people to hear how you walk through a negotiation.
Okay.
For kind of trying to get that brand deal. Let's just say Justin has a restaurant, and you want to reach out because you want to do a review and you want the behind the scenes look at everything. How do you contact me?
I usually don't even reach out. I get contacted.
Okay.
So
if you were, how would you touch and make contact in that kind of way for an opportunity to do some type of collaboration or possibly get a brand deal with?
Yeah. Well, I think it's always through the DM. I keep it short and sweet. I'm not trying to oversell anyone on anything. It's kind of just it's a cold DM. It's like, hey, I love what you're doing. Your food looks great. I'd love to come support and do a review. And if you want to make something work, here's my rates, and go from there.
Okay.
So
do you usually tell people or tell that business owner, this is my viewership, this is my engagement? Do you get any of that?
Oh yeah, well yeah. When they ask, that's obviously usually when they come in, they're asking me, and they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to think how I can explain this, because every single situation is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's social media is still so new to some of these small business owners. They're just starting to get on it now, but a lot of them don't understand financially where's the value for dollars. But you can compare it to billboards, right? How much would you pay for a billboard?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's marketing. So let's say, for instance, I want you to come review one of our WealthCon events.
Yeah.
And I DM you. I'm like, hey, Daniel, bro, remember me? We did a podcast a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I want you to come out April 18th to do a review on our WealthCon events, just so that people understand the value of the event. Would you be interested in doing that? What's your response?
My response is, yeah, I would love to come check out your event and do a review. Here's my rate sheet. Here's my quotes. Here's my impressions that I get per month. Here's all my analytics. A lot of times, the business will ask for the analytics.
Yeah, you give all of that right away, so that it can be worked out. Okay, so now I'm like, hey, I really want to do this. I see these rates. Is there anything that we can negotiate? Maybe I can provide you some value as well, and bring that number down, maybe.
But it depends on the value, right? And then you spin it back. It's like, hey, it depends on the value.
But it is something that you would think about.
Right, exactly.
It's interesting because I know, there's in the past we used to do brand deals for Ryan when he was growing and stuff, and before he had every company that he needed.
Yeah.
Now it's difficult because everybody's a competitor at this point. But before then, we were able to kind of negotiate deals, and it was the same way. I hated them. I had to do some of the back and forth, and I hated doing it because I'm like, bro, look, this is just what it costs, right? If you don't want it, we're in a situation where we don't have to have it. So it's it's a bonus to you. I think one of the things that we were able to kind of achieve early on with getting some of those deals was that we don't take content down. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if you had a company that wanted to sponsor, a 30-second ad in a YouTube video or, a short, it's not like we're going to go back after 6 months and delete it.
No.
So essentially your ad is running forever, especially for a YouTube platform that runs videos and monetizes those videos forever. Oh
yeah, that's another thing too. The money isn't really made off the video as much as it is off the usage rights.
Right.
So that's the organic versus the paid engagement, right?
Right.
Yeah, you could repost it, for however, but the paid engagement. Are you going to put money behind this? Are you using this for advertisement purposes outside of me just coming and doing the video? Because if you're putting ad spend behind it, I got to be getting, a substantial amount for that. And that's where negotiation begins. So
at that point, you're an affiliate, right? Like you've now affiliating for me because I'm using your face everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to hire a production team. You don't got to hire a studio, and you don't got to have actors. You don't have any of that. You have a person like me coming in, reviewing your event with my phone, doing the voiceover, getting the information concise. Like that's 25 person teams that would do that type of shit,
Absolutely.
Commercials, all that. Like
absolutely. And I truly believe like if you want to spend your money wisely, doing it this way would be the best way. Right? Like having someone like yourself or someone in that space, in your space specifically, whatever that would be, come in and really, it costs him nothing to make the video. I always, I've been talking lately, even on my calls about Kanye's Super Bowl video. I was like, right, like it's marketing at its finest. Like he understood what to do in that moment where he can go, spend $7 million and go make 19 from a phone video that looked like it was an Android that had bad reception. Yeah, right? Like it cost him nothing to make the video. Right, all the money was spent on the slot, and so I think like that should be a kind of a testament to what people and understanding what they need when it comes to trying to find how to market in that type of circumstance. Because I think as, like we talk about Hollywood 2.0, and I think about as the city's growing, I think there's going to be an even more opportunity for influencers and content creators to get in on that space. More money will be thrown around. And people will tend to trust the influencer or the person that they spend. Like people are spending hours with you watching all of those videos. They trust them more than they would trust the billboard or the commercial that we may not ever see because no one watches TV anymore.
Well, even the news. Look at Fox News. We can even say like Las Vegas Review Journal. They're even trying to do like an influencer thing now where they put a guy out there and they go and they, do the news briefs and all that. And it doesn't get the same amount of views. They just think they could throw someone out there and it's going to go and they're going to get thousands of likes or hundreds of thousands of views. And no, I post the exact same thing they do because I get the brief. I get the same thing and I'm doing 100x what they're doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and that it speaks to the power of just the personal brand in general.
Yeah.
Right. Like how important is your personal branding to everything that you are creating for yourself?
It's extremely important, I think. And I think that's what keeps it what it is. You want a real person to be, giving you this information. You don't want it doesn't, I try to make it produced enough, but not overproduced. Right. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's more opportunity for you to show other aspects of your life, or is it just solely on what you're exposing people to in the Las Vegas area?
No, yeah, I think that, my goal is not to just be a scoop or just to be the news or just to be whatever. I think it's an evolving, growing thing, and it's building a life of its own. But I have my own goals and my own aspirations. I'm obviously going to show those, and that keeps it authentic and genuine. Yeah. You got to expect, I think after a while that, the news or whatever, or certain creators will fit that niche and just become like a certain news channel or certain this. But for me, I won't be that. I'll be growing into something else. So,
yeah. Is there ever a time where it's oversaturated? Where, like, say, for instance, a 17-year-old right now sees your videos and sees others like yours and is inspired by what you do, and they want to get into doing that type of work. Is it too late? Is there still opportunity for other creators to kind of get into it? Or do you think that, anybody can jump into it at any time? Just make sure you're making quality content.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think it's just about making quality content. Like if you got something to tell and you got a story, you got to put it out there. When I think about Hollywood 2.0, we're talking about these developments, but I think about it culturally too. Think about like what happened when Hollywood first started. Everyone moved to, even up until, now, people moved to California to go and become an actor or go become an influencer. Yeah. That's what's happening in Vegas. I'm getting the DMs of, hey, I want to move to Vegas and become an influencer, and I've had people that have come up to me in person that said, hey, I moved to Vegas to become an influencer because of your content. And that's kind of just that's the era of what we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always give the advice to people that are like concerned that it's too late to get started, and
it's never too late.
You're talking. This is Daniel. Daniel gets over 8 million views a month across his platforms, and 8 million doesn't even scratch the surface of the amount of people that are on the platform. So it's not too late. Like if you were getting the majority, 90% of the viewers that are on the platform as a whole, then I'm like, okay, hold on now. He might, right? Like it may be a little late to try to go do Mr. Beast style content, right? He's got that niche kind of covered, right, at this point. But it's not too late because there's still people that will like your stuff better than they like his stuff. I always say, like, I choose the people that I follow based on whether or not I really enjoy what they make. I don't follow people that I don't enjoy. Right. And so you may have you may tour, WealthCon and have something to say about it, and this is your opinion on it. And then you may have another creator that does the same thing, same type of opinion. Y'all both either liked it, loved it, or hated it, no matter which one. But I may like the way you presented it better. And
right.
So this is why I follow you, right? Like, you may just say it a little bit different that makes me want to follow you, right?
Right. It's different than the news, right? Because just say the news came, say Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 9, whatever, came and covered WealthCon, they're all going to say basically the same things, be the same script. They're going to say the same shit. But when you're getting a person's experience or an influencer's experience, you could bring in 10 influencers. They're all probably going to say somewhat the same thing, but also say different things, different voice, different cadence, and capture different moments because everybody's different. Everyone's human.
Yeah. So what's your advice to that 17-year-old that is looking to carve their own space in this niche?
Post every day. Don't be scared. I mean, just try it. Post for 90 days every day and see what happens.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but post every day for 90 days. Do something unique. Do something different. It's okay to grab, from different people and to get inspired. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but keep it simple too at the same time, I think. I think something with my content is that I'm trying to make developments and things that people don't normally relate to.
Yeah.
It's I'm kind of bringing it back to the human level, I think, and trying to give you the information in a way that is digestible to you and you could use it and you're not bored with it, right? Yeah. So
are there strategies? Are there strategies behind time of posting? Right, you obviously said post every day. Are there any? Are you using any type of specific strategies to make sure that you're getting the most potential out of your videos?
I used to, not anymore. I think just value at the end of the day ends up living. But I think to start, if I was going to start over again, if I was 17 or whatever, and I was just trying to get into it, I would post every day. I would make it like a premiere. Post at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. or wherever every day. But yeah, be mindful of the type of content you're making. If you're making content that's suited for the morning, post in the morning. If you're making content that you think that you would want to watch after you eat dinner, post after you eat dinner. Like think about from the consumer's perspective too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you have to get into the mind and the psychology behind the people that are viewing it. Right. And I always tell people this, like they're trying to figure out why are my videos going? Why are they having any success? Why nobody's I'm like, it's because you're probably looking at it from your lens. Yeah. Not the lens of the individual that you want to see it.
Exactly.
Right? So for instance, if you're going to go review a coffee shop, what time of day do people get coffee? Right. Probably should release around that time when everybody's searching their coffee order and trying to find out where they want to go for coffee.
Yeah. Or on the contrary, you post the night before so someone knows where to get their coffee the next day. You're the last thing in their mind when they go to bed. I'm going to go get coffee in the morning at this spot.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that happens all the time. Like I see something and I'm like, oh, I really want to try that. All right. And then usually it's like, all right, let's plan for a Friday date night to this place. But I saw it ahead of time, but it just depends, right? Like, you're absolutely right. So your strategies behind when you release what you're putting out should be solely based on your audience, which means you got to care more about the audience than you do your own personal. It's the only reason I create content at all. Yeah. Because I was videographer and producer from behind the lens. I never wanted to be in front of the lens. And then it turned out that, Justin, you're helping these people by giving them these strategies. And then when Wealthy Creator came about, it's like, okay, I get to sit with individuals like yourself and the audience gets help from what you're saying. There's going to be a lot of people that go, okay, I'm going to start because he used his phone and he's got millions of views. Yeah, I'm just going to use my phone. There's going to be some people say, yeah, like Justin said, he was faceless at first. Even though I don't like how I look on camera, I can go make some faceless content, do some voivoices. Yep. It doesn't have to be as difficult as people make it seem. This isn't a movie production, right? Like this is social media, and I tend to find that the raw version of things usually performs better. What are your thoughts about that? You believe that to be true? Yeah,
I think so. I think it depends for everyone. I think sometimes my super raw content where I'm just walking around and I'm just talking to the camera, like say for example like a Vegas policy or something we do, doesn't perform as well. And that's you got to be aware of who you are too at the same time. What's your unfair advantage? Yep. For me, I know I can edit a nice video and craft a message and story tell, so I stay authentic to that. And it's not always about getting the most views. It's not about getting 1 million views. Sometimes, hey, 100,000 views that are really freaking impactful is better than harboring and getting, a shitload of likes and a shitload of engagement.
Yeah.
So,
especially for our entrepreneurs, right? Like I always tell people, like there's coaches that teach virality, like how to go viral on something. I've never done that. I'm like, I don't care to do it. I don't even want to get in that game because half of it I don't believe to be true. I believe that they're buying and boosting stuff that they right. So you're actually selling something that's not even real. But for me, it's like, okay, if I can get you 1,000 views on this video and you can convert 20% of those into customers of yours, or you can convert those into investors of yours, then it's a win, right? You're going to be very happy with that 20%, right? If you get 10% of that 1,000 people to buy something, you'll be extremely happy. And then we just learn how to scale that, right? Learn how to go bigger for that. And so that's what our focus always is on, because you're absolutely right. Like, don't get hung up on trying to get the most views every single time, right?
Yeah.
Even our podcasters, I tell people all the time, like you're putting out an hour plus. You think you're going to get, like no one knows you yet. Like no one knows what you do. Like you got no authority in the space just yet. You think people are just going to sit down with you for an hour just because you put it out. You got to ask yourself, why should I watch this? Why should I sit with them, right? Like, and then you got to stay consistent, get the reps in like we've been talking about. Keep it simple, right? Simple enough. And then really, kind of get it out there and get it done. So I think that's where, people should be encouraged, because even if you're not getting views now, just continue to make every video better. Yeah. Continue to get better and better. And then by the time people are seeing it, you're already at a level where, it comes naturally and it's just happening for you, under any circumstance. Right. One thing too, like working with Ryan Pineda and what we do, there became a point where he was like, I don't want to do these YouTube videos anymore. I don't want to go tour homes. I don't want to do all this stuff anymore. And although that really drove the pages and really got people interested in who he was and what he was into, he didn't feel it, like he didn't get really satisfied with it or fulfilled by it. And so we shifted to podcasting. But the interesting thing about podcasting, or even like the new way of vlogging and different things like that, is you're no longer making content, you're just being content. Yeah. Right? Like, and that's what my platform is now, is like these conversations that you are saying, this is just us talking, right? I'm picking your brain, we learning from each other, like this, that kind of thing. And so I don't have to actually go out and script and make content. I'm just being the content, and we can have these conversations and learn from each other. And I think there's a lot of value in that as well. Do you feel like there will be any shift in the style of content that you're making currently?
Oh, of course. I think it's always shifting. I think if you look 6 months ago, a video of mine looks completely different than it does today, right? Okay. And sometimes it's it's produced heavily, sometimes it's scaled back, and it just kind of depends on what's going on at the time. And I think that's a part of the role too of being a content creator, is you have to be on it and be willing to change.
It's forever changing.
Yeah, it's forever changing.
Yeah, I mean, we experience it. We not only experience on the content side, but we experience it in business too. Yeah. Right? Like you got to constantly be evolving, constantly be changing. But being sure that your changes are intentional too. Yes. Because too much change can also be detrimental to what you're trying to do. Right. And we've learned that lesson as well, where it's like, we're going to try this. And then we don't even give it, 90 days to make sure it works before we're trying to shift. Just because we didn't see the initial work. And I often see that with content creation when they're like trying to get views or trying to get followers, where they'll be like, hey, somebody told me this the other day, and he was a bigger influencer too. He's like, I see you all doing like the thumbnail carousel thing on your videos now, where you're putting up an image, swiping over to see the full video. Yeah. Has that been working for you all? I'm like, we're testing it right now. I'm like, I can't tell you right now if it's worked or not. Right? We'll know in a month or so. And he's like, yeah, because I tried it. It just didn't work for me. I go, well, how many did you do? 2? And I'm like, bro, like you haven't tested anything. Yeah. Like, you got no data to know whether or not it worked. It didn't work on those 2. You haven't done it. So I want to encourage anybody listening or watching to be sure that like when you are testing out things, give it the time that it needs, right? Like nothing, like there's very few people where they blow up overnight. There's very few, right? Like you got to have some really like circumstances that all align together to go viral overnight and then viral every time after, right? It's usually not happening that way.
Yeah, and you'll learn something from that experience too. I mean, we're all on our own journey and have our own story, and you're gonna learn lessons no matter just because you went viral and you got 1 million views, 10 million views, whatever. doesn't mean that you're not going to be learning shit after that. You're going to learn more after that. It's just, it's like the stock market. It's like if a stock shoots up real quick, there's volatility. It's going to bounce right back down, right?
Yep.
So
100%. So what are you seeing on the future for Las Vegas, and how do you plan on evolving in content to cover it?
I think it's going to be covering more of the impact. I think when I open, these food and beverage concepts and the things I'm working on, you're going to see more of that coverage. Maybe you'll see more of a vlog style. Maybe you'll see me more, but it's going to ever change. It's an ever changing process. So, I'm going to tell you this now, and 6 months from now, it's probably not going to be that. It'll be something completely different, right? So we'll see. It just depends on the landscape and see what happens.
No, man. So I'm excited for you. I wish you nothing but the best in everything you're doing. I'm still going to be following. I'm going to be checking you out.
Thank you, brother.
Especially going to be going to some of the places that you recommend. So don't leave us out there without any reviews on stuff.
No, I won't.
Right?
Yeah.
Keep that going. But yeah, so lastly, just tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you, and where they can support you.
It's Daniel Leo on all platforms. It's Daniel.Leo on all platforms. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that. So
all right. We'll put those down in the description so you all can tap in and follow my guy. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.